Hello everyone and welcome back to Who's He on the TV. And today I'll be looking at one of the most iconic British TV shows ever made, which is celebrating its 60th anniversary, Thunderbirds. For those of you who don't know, Thunderbirds, created by Gerry and Sylvia Anderson, first appeared on UK television between 1965 and 1966 and ran for 2 seasons, ultimately consisting of 32 episodes. It centred around international rescue, a search and rescue organisation headed up by ex-astronaut Jeff Tracy, with all 5 of the Thunderbirds rescue vehicles piloted by his sons, Scott, Virgil, John, Alan and Gordon. Also part of the team were Brains, who designed all the Thunderbirds craft and the support vehicles, and London agent Lady Penelope, assisted by her butler cum driver, Parker. Each episode, International Rescue will be involved in all sorts of rescue missions, which could be potentially a doomed airliner, a burning building, or even a radio station in space. Originally conceived as 25-minute individual episodes like Anderson's previous Supermarionation TV series such as Fireball XL5 and Stingray, head of ITC Lou Grade, upon viewing the first completed episode, requested each one be increased to 50 minutes in length, which is to fill an hour's time slot, which included ad breaks. ITC were the parent company of Anderson's production company APF, and Lou Grade, always with an eye on the American market, thought he was onto something that he could sell to that country. However, the irony of Grade dictating a 50-minute running time was that some TV regions in the UK split the episodes into 2 25-minute chunks to suit their programme schedules. But all of Anderson's Supermarionation series up until Thunderbirds had American voice lead characters, and Lou Grade was always looking for a show to crack the American market and turn a big old profit. And Thunderbirds was a winner. As Lou Grade himself described it, each of Thunderbirds' episodes was like a movie. It was loud, it was colourful, had memorable characters, lots of tension, and had amazing special effects which for the most part still stand up today. Thunderbirds did actually spawn 2 feature films, Thunderbirds Are Go and Thunderbirds 6, which were greenlit by Lou Grade before Thunderbirds had even aired on the TV. But during the production of season 2, or up to a point of episode 6 to be precise, Lou Grade cancelled the show. Unable to sell the show to the American TV network, and despite Thunderbirds being a huge success in the UK and other countries, Grade wrongly believed that without a big US network, the show would not recoup its production costs. However, this failure to sell the show also lay at the feet of Lou Grade himself, who apparently kept upping the price each time a bid was made, with all bidders eventually dropping out. And the Thunderbirds feature films? Unfortunately, they were both flops at the box office. Thunderbirds mania didn't transfer well to the big screen, and Thunderbirds was over pretty much as quickly as it began. But skip forward to 1974 and little Phil was watching Thunderbirds on a black and white TV. This was my first introduction to the worlds of Gerry Anderson, and I was hooked. My first viewing in black and white, while missing the colourful impact, the Thunderbirds craft, explosions, dramatic tension and opening credits featuring one of the most iconic theme tunes, courtesy of Anderson's long-term collaboration with composer Barry Gray, drew me straight in. And from that moment on, I was a fan, and I am, well, still a fan to this day. Nothing was like Thunderbirds. In fact, even shows made today cannot, for me, capture the sheer thrill of sitting down and watching International Rescue in a mini-movie of the week. The impact on me was huge, and I became equally excited when I discovered Anderson's other Supermarionation shows, and also his live-action ones, such as UFO. And I can remember the UK premiere on television for Space 1999, and knowing that was a Gerry Anderson production, I had to watch. But Thunderbirds will always remain my favourite. I had the Thunderbird 2 Dinky toy, which for some reason was painted blue rather than green, and my son is named after Scott Tracy. Thunderbirds always seemed to be on the TV when I was a child, but in actual fact it was last broadcast on independent television in the UK in 1981. And well, it just disappeared, and for a while it was just a memory. But it took the good old BBC to bring Thunderbirds back to life. In the early 1990s, Thunderbirds was repeated on BBC Two, and Thunderbirds mania began all over again, and I was very much up for it. Thunderbirds always had merchandise from day one, but the 1990s revival took it to another level. Thunderbirds toys were top of Christmas wish lists, with the demand for the Tracy Island playset outstripping supply, and it was left to the long-running children's show Blue Peter to show everyone how to make their own Tracy Island. But for me, the icing on the cake of this revival was seeing the man himself, Gerry Anderson. With a massive success of the BBC repeats, he conducted a tour, an evening with Gerry Anderson, in which he gave an illustrated lecture on his life and career. It was a fascinating evening, and the audience was filled with people of all ages, with lots of kids dressed up in international rescue outfits. But there is one moment of that evening that I'll remember for the rest of my life. The first half of his lecture finished at the point where he was just about to start talking about Thunderbirds. But just before he closed out the first half, the curtains behind Anderson drew, and right there was Thunderbirds 1 and 2, the puppets of Scott Tracy, Brains, Lady Penelope and Parker, and the puppet scale model of Fab 1, Lady Penelope's pink Rolls Royce. And it's that moment I will never forget, as when the curtains parted to reveal what was behind them, the entire audience of the Lewisham Theatre gasped in unison. I had never been involved in an audience reaction like that before or since, and for me that just sums up the magic of Thunderbirds. It spans generations and continues to do so to this day. Now, Gerry Anderson attempted to remake Thunderbirds on numerous occasions, and he was famously turned away by the producers of the 2004 Thunderbirds live action movie, despite initially being invited to consult. The producers then offered him money to give the film his blessing, which he quite rightly refused to do. The film was a flop, and it missed the point of the original show so much it might as well have been another film in the Spy Kids series. And for a new generation of fans, their introduction to Thunderbirds was through the ITV reboot Thunderbirds Are Go, which had a mixture of CGI model work and, while reasonably successful, for me, didn't really capture the magic of the original series. Now, Gerry Anderson died in 2012. He left behind such a magnificent body of work, and the crowning glory was Thunderbirds. He was always dismissive of working with puppets, but his shows still entertain and amaze generations of adults and children alike, and the fact we are celebrating 60 years of Thunderbirds says it all. Never bettered, never equalled, and by the looks of it, never forgotten. Bye for now.